Hi everybody, it's Jesse. Today I just wanted to talk about facial hair because it's one of the things that drives me nuts. It's probably number two for me on my scale of issues, and one being the voice. And it's like, well, if you had your voice modified in some way, let's say like. The Yasin Clinic over in Korea, where they do 3 stitches and actually stretch out um, the vocal cords, just like a string on a guitar. They stretch out the vocal cord and they put 3 stitches in there, stretch that out, and it actually increases the higher octave. And they say, well, yeah, of course it removes the lower octave and it really doesn't increase the higher octave. Well, anytime you stretch out a string, you're going to have a higher octave. So guess what? And you're no longer going to have that resting potential of the um, of that lower voice. So that makes a big difference. Now that's number one. Facial hair is number two. Now, if you don't have the resources available to you to go out and have electrolysis done and things like that, um, the anxiety can build up. I've had, I think I said before, I've had about 20 hours on my upper lip, and my electrologist said, well, you're clear. Well, guess what? I am not clear, not by a long shot. And so that's an issue for me. It's been building up. Of course, you always have these dark spots around right, especially right here. It's very difficult to hide. I've found techniques to actually hide these things, but I mean, it takes a lot of effort. Sometimes you wind up looking off color, or your makeup's just not perfect, and you just don't have the time to do this all the time. So for me, the anxiety has been growing and growing and growing, and so I decided that I was going to start plucking facial hair. And I have. And as you notice, if you can look here, you don't see any shadowing. I mean, um, I've been plucking it, and what happens is those hairs grow back about once every 4 weeks. So if you keep plucking and getting at least, especially the black hairs, get those out of there. The white hairs are not so shadowing. So if you have white hairs or blonde hairs or something like that, you don't have to worry too much because you're not going to have a lot of facial hair shadowing. And so that's a really difficult thing, and especially if you're younger, or your beard hair did not develop and you are not having to worry about that so much. That's awesome. I mean, you have no idea on how lucky you really are when it comes to the older people, that had transitioned in their 40s, and they're even 30s, and some people even in their teens and 20s have really heavy facial hair. A lot of Hispanic people, or African American people, they tend to have a lot of really thick facial hair, and so that's an issue. Um, and if you're like me or any other trans person, I'm sure you can probably identify with this. Now, should you pluck your eyebrows? My recommendation would be, or not your eyebrows, I'm sorry, your facial hair. My recommendation would be no. However, the anxiety in me has built up, and I'm not going to recommend it to you either. However, if you do want to get rid of that, those spots and things like that, you can't afford electrolysis. The next best thing is, I mean, having your face waxed or something like that. Well, yeah, but the problem is your hairs are so short. Unless you decide to grow a full-blown beard, it's going to take you, a couple weeks. And I'm not sure that you're really willing to sacrifice those couple of weeks. So plucking takes time, but and it's very painful, but it is not nearly as painful as electrolysis, if anybody's had electrolysis, because I tell you, those needles, when they send those surges through you, I mean, they hurt. Excuse me. So even the upper lip, oh my God, that hurts. I mean, when we're talking about electrolysis, it really, really, really hurts. But plucking it doesn't hurt as bad, but it definitely stings. I mean, my eyes water, and my nose starts draining every time I do it. And so I do keep tissue around and everything like that while I'm doing this, because it's a difficult thing, but it does help. If you can't get everything, and you're going to always have just a tickle of shadowing unless you've completely cleared your face. So once you've completely cleared your face, you should be good to go. However, if you don't have that luxury, again, plucking it's going to be the way to go. I would start, in these areas right here, unless you have the upper lip that's really thick. One thing to remember when you're plucking: pull it out in the direction that it's laying. So if it's pointing off this direction, you want to pull it off that direction. Same principle when it comes to plucking eyebrows or waxing eyebrows or anything like that. You want to pull it out with the lay of the hair itself. So what happens is you don't get those ingrown hairs. Again, I do the same thing on my legs. I use an epilator. I usually do it, twice. And after I've done it twice, it takes forever for the hair to grow back. So this is what led me to do the face and everything like that. Now, am I going to stay up on it? Yeah, I'm going to stay up on it. I'm going to keep, plucking and plucking. And I've decided that I'm going to do it 1 to 2 times a week. A few hundred hairs at a time, typically you can do that in about an hour. What was it? I think Thursday night, I actually spent almost 3 hours on my face plucking hairs out. So, of course, that included like the blonde hairs and everything like that to get off my neck. And although I didn't get everything, I'm getting there, and it's helping, and there are a few hairs that were just, too short. They hadn't grown out yet that I couldn't get. Some of them I can't, most of them I can get, and I'm working on that. So anyway, this is a solution or a stopgap to an issue that we all talk about, which is facial hair, how to hide it, and things like that. Do I recommend it? I'm not going to say I'm going to recommend it to you, but it does work. So this is my spiel, and I hope that you can run with it. Again, anytime I ever say anything, any kind of advice or anything like that, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not always right. One person doesn't always have the answers, and not everything works for everybody. So remember, this is your transition, and do what you feel is necessary for you. If your anxieties are high and things like that, well, try to find some way to satisfy those things. So anyway, that's my spiel, and I'm Jesse, and have a good night.